Hello, I'm Gill Fielding, and this is what's caught my eye in the media this week. Well, first of all, I've got to take my hat off to the wonderful journalist who got onto a TV programme in Russia and held up a placard that said no to war. She's actually an editor on the programme. Her name is Marina Nazarova, and I've deliberately learnt her name because she deserves our respect. And despite all the pressures, she had the courage of her convictions to stand up and shout out against the propaganda that the Russian state TV pumps out on a regular basis. Now, I watched that woman in absolute awe, and I find her so inspirational because despite all the pressures that she knows will come from the Russian state, she was in prison for, I think, 14 hours or questioned, interrogated for 14 hours. I think she's been released, but who knows when she'll be called back to look at other charges. She knew that would happen. She knew there was likely to be pressure on her family. She's got children, her parents, and she knew the consequences of what she was doing, and yet she still did it. And it made me realise that most of us live pathetic half lives where we don't have the strength of our convictions. We peddle and quote half opinions from social media. We don't think clearly about what we're doing, and we don't have that passion and purpose that this woman has had. I found her totally inspirational. I feel a bit embarrassed that I'm not as strong as that, because I wouldn't be able to do what she did. But it's made me think I've got to stand up and be counted for what matters to me, and I've got to be stronger. And I found her totally, totally inspirational. Hats off to her. What a wonderful, wonderful woman. Now, on a more economic, mundane level, the inflation figures were announced this week from the Office of National Statistics, and they also revisited their basket of items. Now, they calculate the rate of inflation by having a variety of standard products and services that we are meant to all be buying, and they compare the prices of those standard products today versus where they were last month, last year, and so on. And they always revise the basket of products or services, and it's meant to be reflective of how we live our lives today. Well, this time sports bras came in, cat collars came in, but men's suits went out, and so did encyclopedias. I can't imagine anybody's bought an encyclopedia, not for many a year. But we also found on the food front that doughnuts were out, but frozen Yorkshire puddings were in. Now, what they do is they compare the prices of all these so-called standard goods to calculate the rate of inflation. Well, I looked at it and I thought, well, this doesn't apply to me. I don't wear sports bras, my cat doesn't have a collar, and I don't eat doughnuts or frozen Yorkshire pudding. So what's this got to do with me? And of course, then I realised that, like most things in the financial economic world, what the government quote doesn't actually relate to me. And my personal economy, my private economy, is what matters to me, not the average general global national calculations, which don't apply to me. I don't buy those things. So I decided that I can set my personal inflation rate to 0. And I've done it. And I'm just going to make sure that I don't pay any more for goods than I paid a month before. Now, there's certain things I can't control, for example, the price of petrol, but I can shop around and go onto websites like Gill, for example, and get the cheapest petrol nearest to me. I can make sure I take advantage of discounts and coupons and vouchers. I can make sure that if I have to swap the type of bread I'm eating, I can do that to make sure that I'm not paying any more. And by being careful about it and shopping around and keeping an eye on it, being aware of it, I can choose my own level of inflation. So I've chosen 0, and it works for me, and it can work for you. Your private economy matters far more than the general publicly quoted economy, because what's in your personal wallet or bank is what matters to you. And you can take responsibility for that. And I suggest you do that. And you too can have an inflation rate of 0. Now, I got myself agitated this week because I read a piece of research by a consultancy firm called LCP. And they have collated the stats that show that there are 10 million people in the UK who receive retail discount vouchers from their employer. Apparently 38% of all employers already provide some kind of discount scheme, retail vouchers, whatever, and another 27% of all employees are considering getting those discounts, etc., for their members of staff. But what the research concluded was that although 10 million people were eligible for these retail discounts, hardly anybody ever uses them. And that is just typical of the people in the UK. They're prepared to moan and groan about the cost of living and everything's more expensive and, you know, how on earth are they going to live and all of those things that we see splashed across the media on a regular basis. But actually, they're not prepared to do anything about it. So they get given a voucher and they don't use it. And that is absolutely typical of my experience. I've told no end of thousands of people how to take control of their money. And although a lot of people do get it on a theoretical level, I know that very, very few people actually take action on it. But we know that by following 5 simple financial principles every single day, you can take control of your money, you can make a difference, and you can make your financial future much more positive. So I got myself agitated this week over that. And my conclusion is, for those whinging winnies and moaning minis that are out there protesting about the cost of living, etc., why don't you just shut up and leave those of us that can be bothered to do something about it and are prepared to take action on it. Let us go and let us do something about it. You just be quiet and watch us make a difference. Well, I hope you have a good week. Keep safe.